she suggested like, well, could it all be in your head? And at this point I was like, forget it. I don't even want that. Can I just get the referral for physical therapy? I will pound out the pain out of my body with or without your help. And it was so many things, you guys. This is why I hate the medical business. When I first started my healing journey, I was thrust into chronic pain because for the first time, basically in my life, I started feeling my body for the first time, and it hurt like heckaroo. As I was coming out of decades worth of a flight or fight response, I was just in so much pain and I wanted it out of me. And so began an arduous journey of me trying to figure out what was causing it. You guys, I spent so much money and so much time going to different doctors and services and professionals. And along the way, 5 experts turned me away and basically said, we can't help you. But it took them turning me away to finally figure out what the problem was. Here's the story. So before I went to my treatment program, I started feeling mainly so much pain in my back. It's like I couldn't do my daily activities without my back being in chronic pain. I actually had to quit my ice cream scooping job because physically I couldn't do it anymore. I was just hurting all of the freaking time. So my first thought is, okay, my back hurts. Who's the back doctor? I first went to a chiropractor. So I did like just the joint chiropractic. Mind you, I was not going to go to a real like doctor chiropractic. I mean, I guess chiropractors are doctors. Are they actually? I don't know enough about that. Don't quote me on that. But I had zero interest in calling my health insurance and trying to figure out deductibles and mortgages and equity. Those aren't the right words for health insurance, but I just wanted to do a simple walk-in type of place. So I signed up for the joint chiropractic. And you guys, I remember the first appointment I had, the chiropractor was hot. And that's bad because he goes and he gives me my adjustment and like he comes up behind me and like cracks my back from behind. And I was like, oh my God, I am so touch-starved and lonely right now. It should be illegal to be a hot chiropractor. But I ended up not going on those days anymore. I ended up going to a different chiropractor on like the Thursday walk-in days. So I just told him at this time, like, my back is hurting all of the time. What do I do? And for my first several adjustments, nothing was cracking. Like they would go and crack and he'd be like, we can't seem to get that one. There's a lot of congestions, but nothing's really chiropractoring right now for you. I don't know what it is. So kind of right around the time I started going to the chiropractor is when I went to my treatment program and I really started spiraling, figuring out that something did happen to me in my childhood. I didn't know what exactly, but I knew I had significant childhood trauma and that's kind of what I was dealing with. Also during this time is when I started doing my research of, oh, trauma gets stuck in the body and I'm coming out of flight or fight. That's kind of probably what's happening right now. But I didn't share this with my chiropractor. I have an issue of trusting doctors, if you guys have seen this video. So if you get frustrated with me throughout the video as I talk, please know that that's where this is coming from. So I was going for several months now and my chiropractor was trying to figure out why I wouldn't crack. And he was like, what do you do for work? What are you doing that makes you so tense that I can't even get any cracks out of your bones? And I remember very specifically one day he starts sharing with me how his son has PTSD and was in the military and how it affected his body. And it was kind of interesting because I could see his wheels were turning of perhaps something was in my body. And so that's when I shared that like, oh, I also have PTSD and I think that's where some of my body chronic issues are coming from in regards to tension. And he kind of gives one of these, he goes, okay, that's what it is. So it was in that moment that he said, I'm going to be honest with you. Your issues aren't structural. It's not in your bones or your joints. It's in your muscles. Your muscles are so chronically tight that maybe this type of service isn't what you need. And I really appreciated that. I think I had like 2 more appointments after that. And we really bonded over the whole PTSD thing. And he goes, I'm kind of just looking out for you. I don't think this is what you need. And so he was the first expert to kind of turn me away and to a different service that might better suit me. So I was going to the chiropractor for about 2 months and then my 2-month minimum contract ended and I was like, okay, cool. This wasn't for me. It did not help me in the slightest bit. what can I try next? So I did my research. I was on a bunch of fibromyalgia subreddits and I was like, what helps other people? And so the next service that I tried was acupuncture. So I found a local acupuncturist. I made my appointment. I show up and, he's asking me like, okay, what are you here for? What are you looking to get out of this? And again, I wasn't forthright in being like, I'm unrepressing childhood trauma and it got stuck in my body and I'm in chronic pain all the time and I'm in desperate need of relief. So instead I just said, back pain. I told him, I said, my back is constantly hurting. And he was like, upper back or lower back? And if you guys saw Shadow Brains, I didn't really know. I couldn't really feel my body. It was just hurting everywhere. I couldn't decipher if it was pain or weakness or tightness or underuse kind of thing. And so I was just like, I don't know, my back. You go explore back there and tell me what you find. So I do my first acupuncture appointment and I don't know what I thought it would be. I mean, it's exactly what I thought it would be, but it was still really weird. So they put all the needles in you and then you just lay there for 40 minutes. And so luckily I have a dissociation disorder that I was just chilling. I was like, oh, this is fine. But the first appointment, he came back and he was just kind of like, interesting. And I was like, uh-oh, what? Can you tell something is really wrong with my body? And he pointed out that my muscles didn't really twitch, that there wasn't any reaction that he normally sees in the body. And I was like, uh-oh, something might be really wrong with my body in that case. So I go in for my second appointment and he was asking me okay, how'd the first time go? Did you find any relief? Did you notice that your tension kind of decreased a little bit? Did you have any bruising? And I kind of told him, no, actually, I don't think it worked at all. I didn't feel anything. I didn't notice any difference. I feel like it was kind of a waste of money. And he assured me, he was like, no, it takes a couple appointments. You just have to wait and see. But what do you do for work? What is it that's making you so tense? Because he could tell how tense my body was. And it was at this appointment, luckily it only took 2 appointments for this one, that I told him, well, I'm learning that I unrepressed trauma and that it may be stuck in my body and that might be what be causing the tension. And his demeanor changed because he goes, oh, okay, well, let's take a look. So the first appointment that I did, we kind of did upper back because that's where I feel like I was getting the most sore and the most pain. So then we did a session on my lower back and he goes, oh yeah, it's in your body, all right. And I was like, how can you tell? He said that when he was sticking the needle in, it was rubbery and a lot of resistance and almost as if he couldn't even get to the muscle. And so he was the first one to explain to me that it could be an issue with my fascia, that yes, my muscles are super tense underneath and acupuncture can help with that, but mainly a lot of things that were happening were my fascia issues. So he was the one to say, hey, I think you would also benefit from massages as well. You should really look into that to get some of the fascia moving because you have this extra layer here where I can't get to the muscle unless you deal with this layer here. So he was the next expert to kind of turn me away and send me to a different service. So this next one is crazy. So I went to a massage therapist. I went to one, I remember I was in my hometown and there's a little massage parlor right by my parents' house. So I went and I bought a 2-pack session, a buy one, get one 50% off kind of thing. And I was like, all right, a massage, that sounds nice. That sounds lovely. Let's go get a massage. So I go and I remember she starts on my neck and my shoulders and my head was like this. And she was like, relax your neck. Relax your neck. And she starts pounding on my neck. She goes, relax. And I was like, it is relaxed. She goes, oh my God. She goes, you can't move that. And I was like, no, it's relaxed. She goes, oh my God. So then she starts on my left side and she goes, oh wow, you're really tense. And so then she starts asking me so what do you do for work? Why are you so tense? And at this point I'd been hearing this for several months now. And I wasn't saying what it was, but I was just like, oh yeah, I work at a computer. And she was like, oh, okay. She gets to my right side. She goes, oh my God, this side's worse. And I was like, yeah. She gets to my arms and it's she's making these weird sounds and I feel like I'm in trouble. I'm on the massage table and I feel like something's wrong because she gets to my arms and she's like, okay. Not telling me what it is. And I remember she gets to my legs and she goes, whoa, ooh, whoa. She was audibly making noises. And I was like, that's not good if a professional massage therapist is audibly gasping at how chronically tense that you are. So after that appointment, she was kind of just like, are you okay? And I was like, doesn't sound like it. And she was just like, okay, well, this is going to take like many sessions to figure out. She's like, it's kind of all over your body. You're going to need to come in a lot. And I was like, okay, good thing I bought that 2-pack. So I go back in for my second one. And she starts and she goes, oh my God. She goes, oh, I remember you. And I was like, star student. That's my personality. This is probably not a good thing to be a great massage therapist patient though. So when she gets to like my arms and my legs, it's like she was doing this. She wasn't like massaging at all. And I'm like, I'm paying for this lady. And I told her like, oh, you can go a little harder. And she says, no, I can't. Your body won't let me. And I was like, oh, okay. So I remember at the end of that second appointment, she asked me, she was just like, hey, is everything okay? Like, are you okay? And it was then that I told her, no, I'm just learning about how much trauma that I have and how much it's stored in my body. And I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do. And again, similarly as some of the other services, she kind of goes, oh, okay, that's what it is. And she goes, I think you should see a doctor. Maybe not those exact words, but she was just like, oh, if that's what it is, I probably can't help what you need. She says, what's happening is when I go to touch your arms and your legs, your body isn't letting me touch you. I go to massage your arms and your muscles from the inside are clenching up and fighting against me. The problem is that you don't even know that you're doing it. You're laying on the table thinking you're relaxed, but really I'm trying to fight against your muscles. And that's why I kind of have to do a surface level one because I'm only going to hurt you. She goes, it seems more like you need to work on relaxing rather than just getting out the muscle knots. But I would actually recommend myofascial release massages. That's more trigger point, that's more fascial releases, and that might be better suited to what you're looking for. And I really appreciated this because most of the services I'm going to mention in this video, once I tell them that it's due to trauma, I feel like they stop worrying about trying to get money out of me. They stop being like, no, you just got to come in for more sessions and you got to pay me for months and months and months and then we'll get everything you need. But once I tell them that it's trauma and that I am trying to figure it out because I am in so much pain, but I don't know why, then they actually tried to help me. And I was starting to become more trustworthy of these service professionals because again, knowing what happened to me with other doctors, I appreciated that. And so that massage therapist was the third one to be like, yeah, I don't think I can help you. Go somewhere else. Oh, but then it all changed and I hate doctors again. No, not really. So at this point, because I had a professional massage therapist telling me, girly pop, you need to go to the doctors. I also was in the depths of my trauma treatment program and my therapists were going, you need to go to a doctor. Like we need to rule out other things. I was so resistant for so many months. But then I finally worked with that part. I finally was able to communicate with college JC that held a lot of that trauma. And I was finally ready to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor for the first time in over a decade. But I was very picky about which doctor I went to. So I chose a Trojan. I chose a woman who went to USC because if I went in there and just explained my USC trauma with a fleeting remark, she would believe me. So I go in to my appointment and I thought honesty was key here, you know, like actually talking about what was happening, going on in my body and my brain was working out for me. You know, I wasn't wasting my time trying to not tell the truth to these service providers when instead I could be honest and get the answers that I need. What a concept. So she sits me down. She's like, all right, what can I help you with today? And I said, well, I have been unrepressing childhood trauma, and I have been in a trauma treatment program for the last 10 weeks, and as a result, I've been feeling my body for the first time, and it is in chronic pain. I also have trauma with a gynecologist. I went to USC, that gynecologist. And the residual effect of that is also stuck in my body. Now, my therapists, online research, all these books are telling me that it's fibromyalgia, basically a chronic pain condition caused by trauma. However, I'm not interested in seeking that as a diagnosis, because that involves going to a rheumatologist, getting a process of elimination of tests, it's a lot of red tape and a long time. I'm not interested in that. In fact, I'm not even interested in getting pain medication. I don't even care about that. All I want from you is to get on muscle relaxers and to get a referral for physical therapy so I can just work at it from the inside. And it went amazingly because she goes, okay, let's get you on muscle relaxers and let's get you a physical therapy referral. And it was perfect. I was like, oh my God, it was that easy? Wonderful. It wasn't wonderful. This is all a little side story. This was in October of last year. My physical therapy referral never came, and I called and I was like, why hasn't this come in? And they said that I went to a doctor that was outside of the zip code of my health insurance, so my health insurance wasn't covering that appointment, nor were they covering physical therapy. So then I had to go and change my address, and it was so many things, you guys. This is why I hate the medical business. I need to calm down. It took 5 months to get my health insurance figured out because then the new year started. I had to update my insurance, like wait for it to, There was so much time between that initial appointment that I had to make another appointment in order to get that referral. So I go to the doctor and it's a new doctor. It's a different doctor this time. And I have to do the whole thing all over again. And this time wasn't as validating. She suggested like, well, could it all be in your head? We don't like giving muscle relaxers for no reason. And at this point I was like, forget it. I don't even want that. Can I just get the referral for physical therapy? I will pound out the pain out of my body with or without your help. And she just goes, okay, let's get you a physical therapy referral for back pain. And I was like, ugh, fine, whatever. So then starts my journey with physical therapy. And this is like just a few months ago that this happened. So I go in for my initial assessment and she was just like, okay, so you're here for back pain. And I had to be like, no, it's so much more than that. At this point, I'm like 8 months in. I've learned so much more about my body, so much more about my parts and my healing journey. And I had to tell her, I was like, oh my God, it's so much more than back pain. I am unrepressing childhood trauma. I have a soul bruise that is constantly flexed and aching and in pain all day. I have muscles that never developed my entire life because they got stuck in chronic tension, fascia froze over, and I've never been able to access them. And I'm sitting there trying to explain like everything that's going on. And she was just like, okay. So I do like my initial assessment, you know, they're like testing all of my strength and stuff. And she basically confirmed, she was just kind of like, yeah, actually, you have all of the signifiers that's classic for trauma being stuck in your body. I had an anterior pelvic tilt. I had rounded shoulders. I had almost no glute or pelvic floor access to my muscles. And so she was just kind of like, okay, well, we can start working on your back pain, but it's really all coming from weakness in your core and weakness in your legs. And I was like, great, let's go to town. So here's where physical therapy started to frustrate me. I think it was so incredibly helpful. I learned how much weakness there were in my muscles, how I had these insane muscle imbalances, you guys. I can't even begin to describe how crazy it was that I had main muscle groups doing all of the work for my body, and I had muscles I've never even used in my life. But physical therapy turned out to be really difficult because I thought, okay, if I just strengthen the weak muscles, then all the pain will even out and I'll be okay. It was so disheartening realizing the extent of the damage in my body in physical therapy. Because I was doing basic isolating, strengthening moves on my quads, on my hamstrings, and my core, and my back, and my shoulders. And it was like moving mountains. How am I holding my body up? I barely had the strength to push against my physical therapist's fingers. But the hardest part was, this is when it all became clear how little access I had to my body. There was this one day where I had to take like a little yoga ball, put it on my hip and press like my knee against it. No, I had to put the ball on my knee and like press against the wall. So I go to do it on my right side and I'm like, oh, like it's gonna cramp, like it's really bad. And so they'd be like, okay, let's stretch it first. All right, now let's switch left sides. So I'd go to do it on my left side and I'd go, I can't move my leg. I can't find the muscles to do that. And they'd be like, okay, interesting. I'd be doing certain core things where I'd put like both my feet up on a yoga ball and I'd like bring in the yoga ball with my feet, like if I'm on my back. And it's like, I would have to sit there and go, and they'd be like, you can start. And I'd have to be like, hang on, I can't find it. And then when I'd go to do it, I'd be using my entire glutes to do it. And they'd be like, no, activate your core. And I'd be like, I can't. I don't know what that means. And so here's another reason I got really frustrated was they were like, oh, that's so interesting. And I was like, yeah, it's because of the childhood trauma that I'm unrepressing right now. And I'm learning that my body got stuck and I just never recovered. And I don't know what they put in my chart, but it's like the person that was helping me didn't get that original information. And they were like, oh, that makes more sense. And I was like, what the heck? I was honest from the beginning. Why didn't you know about this? And they said, oh, if it's that, you should really try somatic therapy, because if this is like a brain injury, it's a nervous system issue and you kind of need to access the muscles from the inside, that we recommend somatic therapy. They told me to stick with physical therapy because that's still going to help with a lot of the strengthening and like once I do get access, actually putting them to use. But guess what, you guys? My health insurance rejected it. It said that I needed to go and renew the referral, even though the referral said it was good till November. It was so freaking frustrating, but I am taking a break from physical therapy because I said, you know what? I don't actually think I'm ready to start strengthening the muscles. It was so clear that the trauma ran so deep in my body that I need to work on the brain part first before I start flexing all those muscles. So my physical therapist was the fourth expert to turn me away and say, hey, go try this other service. Oh, so hot. Wearing my hair down was such a mistake. But going back in time a little bit, the next service that I tried was myofascial massages. I actually did start going to that once that original massage therapist recommended it. But for the first, I would say about 5 months that I was going, I did not tell them about the trauma. You know, I will say, I think what I'm doing with this, it's not so much that I don't trust these experts. It's more so like I want to see if they can figure it out before I tell them what's wrong. And what I found is that they kind of had like suspicions, but they were waiting for me to tell them, or they were like confused by things. And then once I told them it was trauma, they were like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. So with these myofascial massages, I got a membership and it was like 2 or 3 massages a month. And what myofascial massages are, it's trigger point therapy. So they basically go and they find all your buttons and they work through that. And they're not nice, relaxing spa music, lavender scented essential oils. No, these are painful, awful massages that it really does feel like exercise for your body from the inside. So I was going for 5 or 6 months, and same scenario. My massage therapist would be like, whoa, what do you do for work? They were working on the back of my neck and they go, oh my God, this is hard as bone. This is ridiculous. And after that session, I remember being like, oh my God, it's supposed to be squishy back there? Like, I had no idea. And they're like, no, you need 2 or 3 more sessions to get this amount on your body out of you. So I was still only having them work on my back because again, that's where I was feeling pain, that's where I thought it was coming from. And so these therapists, I would let them carve into my back. And you guys, if you watch Shadow Brains, I don't feel pain. It's not even that I have a high pain tolerance at this point. I feel nothing. And every single time they would say, oh my God, like you're one of my favorite patients because you let me just carve into you and you don't even wince. Like I can just go at your knots and you don't feel anything. And I'd be like, haha, that's probably not good. But I'd always ask for a little progress report. And they always said the same things every time, especially when working on my back, where they were like, yeah, your body's kind of interesting. Your lats are super tender and it's like your body won't let us touch it. So maybe like stop working out your lats too much. Like they're clearly sore. And I have to be like, my guy, I haven't exercised in a year. That's not from working out. That's from chronic tension and stored trauma. Hee hee. And every time I'd go in, they'd be like, oh my God, how is it worse? Didn't we get out all these muscle knots last time? It feels like it's even worse. So there was one day where I was like, you know what? Let's try it on my legs. I'm still stuck in tension in my legs. Let's see what happens. I never let them touch my legs after that because it was so painful. And I now understood what my massage therapist was saying. As soon as they'd go to touch my legs, my muscles from the inside clenched up and was like fighting against them. Like, no, you're not touching me, protecting me from the inside. And I couldn't turn it off. And I bruised on my legs so badly. I let them one time do my arms. Same thing happened where I woke up the next morning covered in bruises because my body from the inside was absolutely fighting them. However, these 2 sessions were so important because it was in these sessions that the massage therapist goes, whoa, do you feel that? And I was like, what? They're like, that bump right here. And I was like, yeah, that's my knee bone. And they were like, that's not your knee. That's your knee. Do you feel this? That's densified fascia. That is so rock hard. We won't be able to do anything about that. In fact, we kind of have to avoid this area because your body's just going to fight against us. It's that rock hard. And I was like, uh-oh, that's not good, is it? And so it was at that point that I told my massage therapist, yes, I have trauma stored in my body. And they go, oh, okay, well, that's different. We need to approach this in a different way. So it was that myofascial massage therapist who, they didn't really turn me away, but they redirected me and they said, we need to go about this in a totally different way. So this is actually all super recent, so I'll keep this part short, but basically what we learned is I was so focused on my upper back because that's where the pain was happening, but they were like, it's because your lower half is frozen and stuck and your upper back is overcompensating, and that's why it's sore all the time. We need to work on the middle part, and the middle part was my lower back, my glutes, and my hamstrings, and all of this area. And I had to tell them, oh, the trauma zones. Why didn't I think of that? And so just in my last appointment, it was crazy. Luckily I've gotten to a point where I trust my massage therapist so much. She has been so helpful and so understanding. I don't even need to explain anything to her. She goes, hey, let's try something fun. Why don't we put you on all fours and do the cupping on your lower back and have you try movement with it? And this is the first time where I'm not just laying on a table and they're massaging me. And I was like, okay. It took minutes to get my brain to put myself on all fours. It's so interesting how deeply ingrained it is in me. How I was like, it's not safe. It's okay. It's safe. It's safe. You're fine. You're fine. No one's going to hurt you. So I get on all fours and she starts the massage and she goes, She runs her thumbs basically like up my spine, like 2 thumbs along the side of my spine. And it took everything in me not to like yelp. And mind you, she's not even going deep. She's literally touching it. And she goes, everything is all happening right here on your spinal recti, I think she said. She goes, here is where everything's coming from. And I told her, oh, that's my injury. That's my trauma. And she goes, okay, well, let's work on that. And I really appreciated her demeanor because I wanted to cry so badly in that appointment because I was like, oh, that's my soul bruise. You found it. And it's crazy how it took 9 months to let anybody go anywhere near there. And just to get confirmation like that of, hey, you have trauma so stored in your body that you have densified fascia to the point of it being bone, to the point that your muscles are fighting us and won't let us touch you, to the point that you can't even put yourself into shapes without you calming your brain in order to do it. It was such a long journey to get to that point, but it was so validating that even though I don't have the full memory of what happened to me, that it's been all of the confirmation I needed from all of these doctors and service providers and experts telling me, oh, yes, you have trauma stored in the body. You are the blueprint for the body keeps the score. And we can actually, from our perspective, see and feel your soul bruise. Something did happen to you. So here's an important update. I did try somatic therapy and I hated it because it was so difficult, because it's exactly what I needed. So in my somatic therapy session, it involves a lot of talking to your parts and, trying to access the muscles from the inside and meeting in between and telling that part that it's okay. It's a lot of nervous system work. And it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do because it does take back the emotion and the physical pain of my muscles from my parts. That I hated it. I don't want to put myself into pain. I don't want to feel those feelings and feel those emotions because it is so emotionally exhausting, somatic therapy. But I finally gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, that's actually exactly what I need. And so far, that's actually been the one thing that has been able to grant me access to my body again. I am still in chronic pain, you guys, and I probably will be for a long time because as I'm working inch by inch, I'm working on this amount of section in one massage therapy appointment, but it's all over my body. And again, it's been almost a year. I don't even know how many months, but it's been almost a year on this healing journey. And I'm finally getting to a point where I know what I need to do to reclaim my body? And for me, the answer is somatic therapy and those myofascial release massages. However, I guess a little bonus turning away is my massage therapist. She did suggest that what I really need is pelvic floor therapy. I don't know if I can do that. You guys know what happened with a gynecologist. I don't have it in me to trust anybody in that sense. I would love to someday. I truly think that that would be the most helpful thing in my journey. But for now, I'm doing a more self-guided type of pelvic floor therapy and doing my research and seeing what I can do on my own. And that also has been actually pretty instrumental in, again, just getting access to my body and getting out of that pain. And all of this is also parts work. I'm only talking about the physical side of things. This has been so much work with my parts and dealing with OSDD, unraveling the depths of my brain, and getting closer and closer to that soul bruise and closer to little JC finally revealing that memory to me. And so yes, this video was a little clickbaity because yes, these experts turned me away, but they turned me towards a service that I would benefit more from after revealing to them that I was traumatized. And the journey, albeit expensive and time-consuming, was so validating in realizing that none of this was in my head and that trauma really does get stored in the body. And right now, I'm just learning to feel again and knowing that it's safe to do so. And that's the story of how 5 experts turned me away and said, we can't help you because you're better suited over here. Really, this was more of just a story time journey of unraveling what was wrong with my body and the ongoing path to getting out of chronic pain and hopefully getting that final memory of what happened to me in my childhood. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you relate to fibromyalgia or chronic pain or trying out different services that have helped you, please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Again, chiropractors and acupuncturists have worked for other people. It just didn't work for me necessarily. But I want to hear from you of anything you recommend to get out of chronic pain or just help you on your healing journey. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 50,000 subscribers and I can't do it without your support. So hit that subscribe button and help me out so I can keep making content for you guys. If you want to hang out with me some more, go follow me on social media. I do day-to-day fashion content over on my Instagram. I do more day-to-day OSDD healing journey stuff over on my TikTok. But I also host a fun little talk show. It's about lifestyle and fashion and pop culture. You can check that out over at my YouTube at JC Hosts for show clips and full show replays. But I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Toodles! Oh, my cats, you guys, look. I am literally my phone case. That's so embarrassing. You know what's so funny? I was hanging out with friends recently and Frankie goes, what's your favorite color? And Zach goes, probably clear. You know, like a transparent window. I love clear. And he goes, okay, that's not a color. And I said, I am loving checkerboard lately. I just can't stop buying checkerboard things. And Frankie goes, that's not a color. What is wrong with you guys? A lot of things, Frankie. Take your pick.